Hello, and welcome to the series, How the Nature of Man Either Hinders or Aids Being Conformed to the Image of Christ. In the last two sessions, we looked at one of the three aspects of man, which is the body. And in one of those sessions, we looked at the body in terms of the hindrance to the body being conformed to Christ, and that comprises the lust of the flesh and its various manifestations. In the other segment, we looked at the body and the aid or antidote to the lust of the flesh, which is one of the fruit of the Spirit, temperance. Therefore, the scripture mandate throughout the New Testament to crucify the flesh, which we do by temperance. This session, we're going to shift gears and we're going to look at another aspect of man, the three parts of man. This time we're going to be looking at the soul. And within the soul, there are three aspects of the soul to consider, and that is the mind or intellect, the will, and the emotions. Tonight, we're going to look at the soul, the mind aspect of the soul, and the hindrance to the mind, and that is the lust of the eyes. Now, in the beginning of this series, we established an analogy between sin and disease, which is this. Sin, which includes iniquity, is the disease that all men experience because of the fall. The symptoms of that disease in the mind are summarized as the lust of the eyes. So let's look at those lusts, plural, this evening. The lust of the eyes has two primary manifestations. One of those is envy. The definition of envy from Webster is simply a painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another, together with a desire to possess that same advantage. The symptoms of envy, that is, words that are often used in related to envy, are words like these, which I'm sure you'll recognize. Ache, I ache for. Covet, I covet. Crave, I desire. I die for. I hanker for. I hunger for. I itch for. I long for. I lust for. I pant after. I thirst for. I want. I wish for. I yearn for. I have a yen for. I salivate over. Okay? When we use these terms in reference to another's possession, they can subtly reveal the sin of envy in the heart. Now let's continue examining this. What about the emotions? Some of the emotions that are triggered by envy include animosity, enmity, hatred, ill will, malice, maliciousness, and spitefulness. Now, if you're aware of such emotions concerning someone, it is time to examine your conscience. Are these emotions that you experience stimulated in any way by envy? That's one manifestation of the lust of the eyes. The other major manifestation of lust of the eyes is covetousness. Now, Webster's defines covetousness as an inordinate desire for wealth or possessions, or another's possessions. Another definition they have is Covetousness is an intense, selfish desire for wealth or possessions. Remember the word mammon out of the New Testament? Okay. 1 Timothy 6, verse 10, talks about that mammon. It says what? It says, the love of money, mammon, is a root of all sorts of evil. And some, by longing for it, there's that trigger word we mentioned earlier, have wandered away from their faith. Does the term drop out ring a bell? And pierce themselves with many sorrows and griefs. Okay? Now, the symptoms of covetousness, that is, some of the words that might be used by us or others representing covetousness, are these. See if any of these ring a bell. Materialistic, possessive, piggish, craving, desire, driven, hankering, itch, longing, that trigger word, pining, ravenous, or yearning, or yin, egotistic, self-centered, self-interest, selfish, self-regard. See, when these terms are descriptive of one's attitudes, they can reveal the sin of covetousness in the heart. Well, thinking on this, someone might say, you know, I don't want it all. I just want more. Okay? Well, problem there is you're deceived if that is your heart thought. There's a scripture that points this out very well, and it's in Proverbs 27. It says this, Sheol and Abaddon are never satisfied, nor are the eyes of a man ever satisfied. It means more is never enough. The truth is very simple. The desire for more never ends. Okay? So, consider where we are in our culture today on this area of lust of the eyes. We can point out probably 101 indicators that lust is rampant in our society, lust of the eyes, envy, covetousness. In particular, how about gambling? How about betting? Here's a good one. How about lotteries? Lotteries are everywhere. It used to be just one over here or one over there. But now it seems like there's dozens, if not hundreds, of lotteries all over everywhere. Okay. Now, the thing is, you might think lotteries, well, that's pretty harmless. Well, I beg to differ. It is not harmless. When you give your money to these, you're very simply sinning. It's called covetousness. You're wanting more. Okay. Now, the truth is found in Proverbs 27. The Proverbs author says, 2 things I have asked for, Lord, do not refuse me. Keep deception and lies far from me, and give me neither riches nor poverty. He said, because on the one hand, I may be full and profane God and say, who is the Lord? I've got everything I need. I don't need the Lord. On the other hand, he could say, if I'm not fed by the portion of food that is due me and I have great lack, then I might say, I might end up stealing and profaning the name of the Lord. So once again, two things I've asked of thee, Lord. Keep deception and lies far away. Well, we can all understand that. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Okay, just feed me with the food that is due me. Unless I would end up being filled and deny you, Lord, and say, who is the Lord? Or, on the other hand, I may end up stealing and therefore profane your holy name. So, the point is, we've got to aggressively go after these hidden heart iniquities that prevent us from being conformed to the image of Christ. In the mind, which we've been looking at, the lust of the the lust of the eyes, which consist of envy and covetousness, are the areas that bombard the mind, and we must overcome those. Now, every week we have an opportunity to rate ourselves according to how we perceive with the Lord, how we perceive we are in terms of this hindrance activity in our life. And so at the beginning in session 2, we went through all of these and asked, in particular, on the lust of the eyes with respect to the mind, where do you think you are in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, tonight, having gone over the lust of the eyes in some detail, we want to ask you to rewrite yourself according to this deeper level of insight. And here, once again, is the rating, and it's on your sheet. Here's the rule or algorithm. In this aspect of my image of God, okay, the mind, from my beginning walk until now, how do I see myself? Number one, rating 1 is I see that hindrances rule in this aspect of my life, lust of the eyes. Or if you rate yourself a 2, you can say, truthfully, I see changes and evidence of changes in this aspect of my life regarding lust of the eyes. Or you can rate yourself a 3, which is, I have definitely made significant changes in this aspect of my walk with the Lord. Or finally, a 4 rating would indicate that you see more of Christ in you now than the old man in this aspect of your walk with the Lord. And finally, a 5 rating, if you give yourself that, it means that I hold myself, like Paul, as an example in this aspect of my walk. Follow me like I am following Christ. Okay? So go ahead, rewrite yourself, and next time in session 6, we're still going to be on the mind, the soul of man, and we're going to now look at the aids or antidote, if you will, to the lust of the eyes. Okay? So we will see you then, and have a great